Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Angie, I see your request. How are you? All right, we're going to get started in just a few minutes. So everyone in the comments, just let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm in Pennsylvania, so it's always nice to see where everyone else is watching from. And hope everyone's having a great week thus far. I know it's just Tuesday, but hopefully you're having a stress-free week and it's not too cold where you're at. It's a little bit cold here, but we have those fluctuations between like the 60s and 40s. So we take what we can get. Colorado. Okay, thank you for tuning in from Colorado. Jazzy for Rest. Nice. I've never been to Colorado, but I want to, make my way down there. I know they have a lot of cool ski resorts and, outdoor activities you can do. All right, so we are going to get started. So welcome to everyone who's tuning in. I'm your host, DoctorBeauty, and this is Testimony Tuesdays. This interview series I started last year in September, and it's just a way to get acquainted with different people from all types of professional backgrounds. I've had people on here who are chefs, who are in the fashion world, who are in the world of medicine. It's just really amazing to check in with people and see what makes them tick and what their journeys have been like in making their dreams come true. So I'm sure that tonight's interview will be nothing short of amazing. And we have Ms. Angie Supernova joining us as our guest. So I'm going to read her introduction and then I will bring her into the room. Angie Supernova is a wife, mother, entrepreneur, and investor. She spent many years working in corporate America and also pursued an MBA while working as a manager in IT and finance. After having her first child, she found herself on an endless cycle trying to better her fitness journey. Trying a variety of programs led to difficulty in maintaining consistency. Further down the line, Angie encountered singer Maya's Instagram page, learned about her vegan challenge, and was inspired to join. Angie believes that Maya's challenge and the community she found challenged and changed the trajectory of her life. She adopted a steady fitness regimen and became vegan along with her husband and her daughter. Angie's fitness journey strengthened her relationship with God and inspired her to start her own business. In 2021, Angie launched her coffee business. Her future plans consist of launching an angel investment firm within the next 5 to 10 years. She hopes that by using the blueprint of what she is currently learning about business startups, she can help others start and grow their businesses. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Angie into the room and just put your clapping emojis in the comments for Angie. Good evening. Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm trying to see if you can see me.
Oh, yes, I can see you.
Okay.
It's so good to finally speak with you in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's been I've met you on here about 3 years ago through the challenges, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Yeah. And this is the second interview guest I've had that was a winner from Maya's vegan challenge. So that's pretty cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. The
nice.
Was Ayan. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Uh-huh. So how are you doing this evening?
I'm great. How about you?
Doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, I heard you talking about the weather. We've been having a lot of rain here lately. And it's fluctuating. So you know how it is.
Yeah. We've been having a little bit of rain and they're talking about flurries. I'm like, please keep that far away from us.
I bet you're missing Miami right now.
Yes, that was a
Yeah.
change in pace.
Yeah, I saw your pictures.
Oh, yes. No, it had been, I think, 2 years since I've been back there, so it was nice
Oh, wow.
to be back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I have not been to Miami yet. I need to go.
Oh, yes. Honestly, I think you'll love it. You'll love it. And aside from the traffic, it's an amazing place to be.
Oh, okay. Ooh, we'll have to plan a trip.
For sure. Yeah. So I usually like to start off with an icebreaker. So
Okay.
my question for you is, if you could choose one vegan meal to prepare for the rest of the year, what would that be and why?
Ooh, okay. One, let's see. That's hard. That is really hard because I love food and I like a plethora of different things, and it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm trying to be healthy. If I'm in the healthy space, I'll say the one thing that I would definitely have would be a kale salad. Kale, because it's very versatile.
Right.
I like to make it as a salad. I have it in a wrap. You can dehydrate them and make them into chips. So that's a good one if I'm trying to be super healthy.
Yeah.
If not, probably pizza, because pizza is one of my favorites. So, I would do a vegan pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those both sound very filling and versatile too.
What about you?
For me, I really like salad as well, because it's like you can add a lot of things to it and be full for a while.
Yeah.
The idea that you talked about with kale chips, because that's like a good snack in between.
Yeah. And then you can flavor them so many different ways. It's really versatile. I mean, it's surprising just what you can do with it. You can throw it in a smoothie and make a drink. So I love kale. That's one of my favorites, and it's really, really good for you. I think it's considered a superfood, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorites.
The kale is awesome. I love it. Yeah. Smoothies too. I mean, it's a nice quick fix and very healthy for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you have a very extensive professional background, and we're going to get into that, as well as your vegan journey and, quite an amazing story that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you spent several years working in corporate America, and you have your MBA. So can you tell us about your experience working in IT and finance?
Well, I started in 2007 is when I graduated college. And my freshman year, I went to Vanderbilt University in Nashville. So I was there for about a year, and that was an experience. I would say it's kind of a culture shock, because I went to mostly Black high schools, Black schools, and grew up in a Black community. So it was definitely a culture shock to leave my home, my city, go to a new place, and be immersed in multiple cultures. It was what I wanted, but it was definitely a shock. And because of that, I had to find my footing, and I really kind of messed up my freshman year. My grades were horrible. I had to come back home and reset. So I took like a year off, and then basically enrolled in Georgia State and ended up graduating. So it took me about 6 years to finish college. And I eventually graduated in 2007 with a Bachelor of Business degree in computer information systems. Then I started my career with a telephone company. I won't say the name, but I started there, and I started in IT and progressed eventually to finance. With that company, they actually had an exchange program for recent college graduates. So it was a really great introduction to the company, because I came in with 11 other students who had recently graduated. And it gave us a chance to, learn the company, it kind of felt like an internship. So we spent like the first 3 months with one group, then you spend 3 months with another group, and then depending on which choice you decide, that becomes the group that you work for. So we were paid full time, but it felt like an internship. They had a lot of mixers bringing us all together. We were all around the same age, so it was great because I was the youngest in my groups. I think most of the people that I worked with were like my parents' age at the time. And I think when I started, I was around, I think 25, 26, somewhere in there, 24, 25. I can't remember. But I spent several years working in different groups within the company, but it's the only company I've worked for. And it's been, pretty cool. Pretty cool. But even with that, I've always had an inkling or a feeling that you need to kind of be able to have your own thing, because at any given time, somebody can pull the rug from up under you and your whole life can be upended. So I started learning about they call it the corporate trap, where you get really comfortable because you're making a lot of money, you have a decent lifestyle. But again, if you're not learning how to budget or manage your money or think, outside the box, you could be in a position where one day you're laid off and you have to figure out what you're going to do to keep your lifestyle up. So with that, my husband and I both agreed that entrepreneurship was the road we wanted to take. So 7 years ago, he actually started his own business and he worked in IT as well. It's funny because I'm software and he's hardware. So we work really well together. But he worked at a hospital in IT and, it's the same thing, just kind of like wanting something different, wanting to just have something of your own imprint that you leave in the world and having a different experience. I mean, work, corporate, whatever you do, it's great, but you have to figure out what resonates with you. And so we started with him first. He jumped ship. And I, said I'll hold it down while we figure that business out. And it has been very successful. We still have it. I think we're going into our 9th year. And so now it's my time. So, that's a little bit of my background as far as the IT and the corporate stuff.
That's amazing because I've heard of a lot of couples doing something similar to what you and your husband did, where each partner has their idea for their own business. And so one will, take the 9-to-5 route just to, like you said, hold things down until it's their turn. And so that's really amazing that you guys were able to support each other in that way.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
And now you recently started your coffee business. So could you tell us a little bit about that and how you were able to just get the logistics down for it?
Well, it's one of those things where I always, like I said, even from the beginning, even when I started my career, I always had dreams of wanting to do something, not sure what my gifts were, what areas I would thrive in, not quite sure. I knew what I was good at, but when you're in your 20s, you're kind of trying to figure yourself out if you don't already just know who you are. But the coffee thing came about. Number one, I think I got my interest in coffee from my grandmother because I remember growing up with her. She would have a cup of coffee every morning and it was like her regimen, and I don't know. I would watch her do it. And I remember her letting me try it and I didn't like it. And I think she did this on purpose. She didn't put any sugar or cream, in the coffee. So it was horrible. So I didn't want it. But then when I was about 17 or so, my favorite teacher in high school we did this book reading and she brought coffee and hot chocolate. So I had a chance to try it again. And this time, we had plenty of cream and sugar and I loved it. And so that started, I think, my enjoyment of coffee. And then during my college years, one of my jobs, I was working at Barnes & Noble and I ended up getting assigned to the cafe, which I love because, as you can tell, probably I love to cook. So when they assigned me to the cafe, I was like, cool, I'll make the drinks and whatever, have fun. And because it was the first bookstore, it was actually a brand new opening. where they built the store at a new location where I was living, we actually had Starbucks Corporation come in to train us. And so I actually got to kind of see behind the scenes of Starbucks. And it was an introduction to a whole new world of coffee that I had never known. You know, I knew about Folgers and, you know, the stuff you get at the grocery store, which is what my grandmother used to drink. Right. But when the people came in from Starbucks and they passionately spoke about the industry, how they source their beans, where they get them from, the difference in the flavor of why Starbucks tastes the way that it does, it opened my eyes to something that I thought was just amazing. Now, at the time, I was in my 20s, and I remember thinking, like, man, it would be cool to have my own. I want a Starbucks, you know. But you know, again, it's one of those things where you have no idea how you're going to go about doing that. You know, I don't come from a wealthy family, so you're like, how do you start something like that? So it was one of those dreams that, you know, you kind of put on the back burner because you don't know how you're going to make it happen. And then a lot of other things that I wanted to do that, you know, I was buying all kind of books. Again, I'm working at Barnes & Noble, so I had access to a lot of books about businesses and startups. And I had all these different ideas. Oh, I could do a clothing store. Oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do that. But again, it boils back down to, how do you start? You know, when you don't know anybody or you don't have financial backing, you know, how do you start? And so I read a lot of startup books, and I realized I needed to just go ahead and focus on work, get a job, get a career started, start making money, start saving. And, you know, you wind up in this kind of rut after a while, and you kind of forget your dreams. And so I put a lot of that on the back burner. But then, like I said, recently, with a few changes that have occurred in my personal life, I felt the spark again to align myself with some of the things that I said I wanted to do, because I realized you only get this one life, you know, or at this moment as this person. And so you might as well live it, you know, and not put all of your dreams to the side or forget, you know, what you wanted to do or what you want to be. So I decided, let me go ahead and start it, you know, and I ran across, I think I ran across a website that talked, you know, where you can set up a Shopify store for selling coffee online. And so I decided to go ahead and take that route. And I did some research, and I looked into suppliers and roasters that could help me create a flavor profile. And so I reached out to several of them and had them send me samples. And then I selected the company that I wanted to partner with. And then I built my website, and, you know, I grew my funding as I actually started getting into stock trading and crypto trading. And that's how I've been able to fund myself. So that's where I'm at now. It's still very new. I'm getting into the marketing aspects of things now, and just taking my time and trying to figure it out. And I'm writing it down as I go, you know, because my hopes is to assist others one day, because the investment idea was also something I wanted to do. An idea I had a long time ago, which is to work with other people. So as I'm learning, and as I make mistakes or whatever happens on this journey, I'll be available to help younger people or other people at some point in time. So, yeah.
Well, that's really inspiring, because a lot of people, I think, have those ideas of starting their own business. And like you said, they don't know how to start. Because maybe they're looking into, how am I going to get the capital to get things off the ground? And like you said, there's a lot of websites out there that kind of have some package deals for you, where you can partner with existing companies, and then you can start funding some aspects of it by yourself. So that's really commendable that you were able to get all those resources on your own and start your business.
Yeah. I mean, we live in such a beautiful time now. When I was in my 20s, I think YouTube might have come out. I can't remember. I know we had Facebook around 2004. And before that, there was MySpace. But the amount of information that's available now through social media was not quite as available then. You had to get everything from books, or you had to know somebody, or, networking in that way. But I have found myself, for one thing, this pandemic has caused us to have to kind of sit down. And in the sitting down, I've spent a lot of time learning all kind of aspects of business, finance, money, trading, all kinds of things. And I've been applying them, for myself. And like I said, we're just in such a great time. And if you just take the time to look, you'll find people that are sharing information for free, that you can apply to your own life or to your own dreams, and you can make some things happen.
That's really true. What you mentioned about the accessibility to information increasing with YouTube and social media in general, that's so important, because a lot of people now, they're realizing that, that information is out there, and nothing's really hidden. All they have to do is know what to search, and they can get the information they need.
Precisely. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also a great way to get connected, because as you mentioned before, we met online about 3 years ago through common interest with Maya, and you started your Cooking with a Supernova page as well. So, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that, and then we can talk about the vegan challenge with Maya.
Well, I'll start with the vegan challenge and then kind of circle back. The vegan challenge, obviously, if you participate in the challenge, we had to take photos of our food and post it online. And I remember when I first joined, I was looking at other people who had previously won to see what they did and try to understand like how to stand out, and I realized, taking your photos and being artistic with it, and, maybe having the right lighting and stuff would help your photo stand out. So I started doing that, as well as just being very transparent about what I was experiencing through the journey. I would leave everything I was experiencing, I would leave it in the comments and hope that she would read it, or that it would matter, whatever, that it would help. But that actually spawned something that I didn't realize I enjoyed. I have always enjoyed cooking, that's what I do for my family. But doing the challenge forced me, number one, because I was eating meat prior to doing this vegan challenge, it forced me to have to figure out how to eat in a way where I could keep going and enjoy the food. And I find that when you limit something or you take something away, it can actually increase your creative aspects, and things that you become creative with. And so I started researching, I started following other vegan pages and getting vegan recipes. And now I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. And so first it was kind of like I wanted to stand out. I wanted to be able to meet Maya. I wanted to be able to win, because I'm a fan. So I wanted to stand out. But then it became something more than just, it became something a lot more than just being a fan or just wanting to meet her. It actually became something that opened my eyes to a new world. I felt better. I was losing weight quickly early on. I realized I didn't need meat for a lot of the things that I thought I needed meat for. There were foods that I hadn't tried before. And again, because you're raised a certain kind of way, or you're used to a certain kind of diet, you just tend to be on this hamster wheel and you're just doing the same stuff over and over again.
Right.
But then when you become intentional about what you're doing, what you eat, again, it opens the world up for you. And so I decided to keep going with her challenges, because each, I think it was 2018, we did them by the quarter. So it was like 7 days first quarter, 14 days second quarter, 21 in the third quarter, and 28 in the fourth quarter. I didn't join really until the second quarter. And I think that's the quarter that I actually won. And that quarter, I mostly did regular vegan, but I wanted to take it up a notch. And even though I had won, I was like, I'm gonna keep going because I want to try this raw thing. Yeah. My other purpose for joining her challenge too was that I wanted to lose weight. I was up there in 2018, and I'm not even ashamed to share it. I think I had peaked at 215 in 2018. And I knew, I had been trying to lose weight, tried multiple things after having my daughter. I ballooned. And I would have good years and bad years. Like sometimes it would go down and then it would be right back up. If I was stressed out at work or whatever, like stuff, life happens and you find yourself sometimes just on this hamster wheel, not going anywhere, running fast, but going nowhere. And so every year I found myself trying to do something different. One year we did the master cleanse and it was great. I lost some weight. We were great. We were on a roll. My husband's doing it with me. We're good. Then something happens somewhere in the year and then you go left and next thing you know, you're ordering out again. You're ordering pizza and all this other stuff. And all the work that we did just kind of went out the window. And so, with her challenge, I said, okay, this is cool because it gives me a community. It gives me accountability. And getting the opportunity to meet her is a great incentive. So let me try this, And 3 months in for the first quarter, I got excited. It was cool. It was great interacting with her. It was great meeting other people. By the second quarter, I said, okay, I'm going to step this up and I want to try the raw vegan. Because I kept seeing other people doing raw vegan. I was like, okay, I'm going to try that, And so I kept going. And then fourth quarter, by the fourth quarter, I think this was the first Thanksgiving, I had to actually cook food that was vegan because I'm still doing the challenge. And I was being faithful to the challenge. So I was like, oh, okay. So I normally make macaroni and cheese for my family. We all get together. And everyone typically requests my macaroni and cheese. And the recipe I used to use was Patty LaBelle's recipe. And she has like 6 different cheeses in her macaroni, in her recipe. And I became pretty infamous in my family for making it. Every year they wanted the macaroni and cheese. But this was 2018 was the first year where I was vegan and I was going to have to try something different. Yeah. So I did a vegan version of it. And I took my time. I made it good. And I was worried. Actually, that year I made both. Because I had to make a bunch of vegan food for my family so that when we went up there, we would have something to eat. Right. So we went to go visit the rest of the family. I brought a bunch of stuff that was all vegan. And then I brought the regular mac and cheese. I found that everybody was actually eating the vegan mac and cheese. Mm. And I was surprised. And my dad even said, he was like, don't worry about making the regular one anymore. Just make the vegan one. That was good. I was like, really? So, that was part of it. But, going through the process of taking the photos and, taking pictures, cooking, trying new things, it just kind of sparked this interest or something that might have been dormant within me. Like I said, I've always cooked, but when you're cooking for yourself, you just throw on a plate and you eat, you know? Right. But when you have to do a presentation and put something online, it was the responses that I was getting that was like, oh, I mean, I had friends from like middle school that I hadn't talked to in years that were like, your stuff looks like it belongs in a magazine. And I was like, maybe this is something I could look into. So I decided to keep it going. And instead of keeping it all on my main page, I decided, let me just start a vegan cooking page and just see where it takes me. And I've been enjoying it, I haven't created any cookbooks yet or anything like that, but I might circle back to it. I mean, I definitely want to get some videos and things, but wanted to get my coffee business off the ground first and then kind of go back and forth.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, I remember doing those challenges too. And like you said, that motivation to meet Maya is there. But then you have that community that you network with. And you realize that ultimately this is a commitment that you're making to your health. It's a form of self-care. And it is fun actually making those meals and trying like a new recipe and realize that a lot of things that you used that contain dairy or meat before, you don't really need those products to have good taste
at all.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And you even said that this fitness journey in general strengthened your relationship with God and your passion for entrepreneurship. So, along the way, what challenges, if any, did you face with, making the change to the vegan lifestyle because I know, like you said, hopefully, more families will kind of be as enthusiastic about the new foods that yours was, because sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, if they're
Yeah.
all just salads and, veggies.
Yeah. As far as challenges go, I have to be honest with you. I don't know if I had personal challenges. My family's very supportive. My husband's very supportive. I mean, he's going to cook. He's going to eat whatever I cook, And I think once he started experiencing the differences that happen with you physically, he really was like, oh, no, we're going to stick with this, because it's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know sometimes, and you're busy eating things that have chemicals in them, and you have no idea what those things do to you, what they do to your brain, or the rest of your body. I think we've been conditioned as a culture to, oh, you get a certain age, yeah, you get diabetes. I mean, I think all of us have someone that has diabetes. I myself had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant. And it's probably something I got from my mom, because she had gestational diabetes when she was pregnant with my younger brother. And unfortunately for her, it ended up going into type 2 diabetes, and it's still something that she still battles with to this day. But I remember the doctors and her telling me after I gave birth, you need to be very mindful of your weight, because you could end up having type 2 diabetes as well as you grow older. And so, that weight issue, it was just an issue, and trying to figure it out, and just literally battling, and it's just not working. And I think you get stressed out, you don't know what to do, and you eat because you're stressed, and and sometimes the things that you eat create something within you that craves it, and then you can't even fight yourself, because you're literally battling an addiction to sugar or chemicals that are in foods that we eat, that's on purpose.
Right.
So understanding that, or coming to that understanding, which is something that I gained, that's information that I gained by participating in Maya's challenges. Game changer, big game changer. I mean, the information that she shares in her starter guide was probably the catalyst. That was the first thing I looked at. Then it went from that to following, like I said, a lot of other pages and all the information that people share. When she would post her meals, she wouldn't just post her meals. She would post like 8 or 9 different slides with information.
Right.
And, you look at that information and you take it piece by piece and you go research it. And so, of course, I share that information with my husband. He's looking at it and he's like, oh, man, and I've been fortunate enough to have a partner who has always been somewhat aware of things. And, one of the first things he looked at when we had our daughter was, I remember they had this stuff called infant water. And I remember trying to buy it, thinking that, oh, this is special water for a newborn. And luckily for me, he was cognizant enough to actually look at the label. And he saw that it had fluoride in it. And he was like, why are they giving fluoride to babies? He's like, no, put this down. We're not getting that water. So he's always been the type of person that looks for things and is trying to make sure that we are consuming the best, stuff. And so there was no challenge, personally at home. And so we both became plugged in and started reading her guide and started participating. He actually joined the challenges last year, I think. And he won, which was pretty cool. So the information ended up becoming, we learned so much, it became like twofold, because we're both studying. We're both, checking each other. We're both checking what we're eating. We're both making sure, our daughter's being raised with this information so that, we can prevent certain things from occurring in our lives and, potentially in her life. And then I'm also at the same time reverse aging. I'm losing weight that I have struggled with for years to lose. I'm finally losing. This was the first year where I actually started keeping track monthly of the weight loss. And I found literally every month I was coming down, and I'm now at the weight that I was when I met him. So since 2018, it's been a total, I think, about 35 pounds that I've lost. And I still, I'm not where I want to be yet. I have my goal, and we're working towards that. My husband's actually training me. So everything has truly been a blessing, taking this journey.
Yeah. That's amazing because, like you said, it can be tough when results are slower than you would like them to be. But the fact that you are seeing results, it just shows you that you just keep going with this path and it's working for you. And like you said, there's the long-term effects of the reverse aging and overall better health profile. So it's amazing too that you are also doing this for your daughter because as parents, I'm sure that, like you said, with your husband too, you want to provide the best food possible for your kids to nourish their minds growing. That impacts what choices they make later on when they're choosing what foods to eat. And
it's so funny. She was I think she was 6 when I started, so she was very young, and it was easy. Actually, I will say this, I was surprised she actually liked kale. She liked my kale salads, and she, to this day, she loves them. She kills them. If I make a kale salad, she's like eating it all up. But I had her involved with me. She was helping me make the salads, and she used to eat a lot of chicken nuggets and a lot of macaroni and cheese. So I just made her vegan versions of all those things. And so there was no issues. I mean, the vegan chicken nuggets for a 6-year-old, taste the same as other chicken nuggets. So she just, went into it with ease, so pretty simple, when you start them at that age. But I think even if you're at a different age, even if you're trying to, introduce the lifestyle to someone that's a friend or a family member, I think the biggest thing is to take the word vegan off, because I think sometimes there are misconceptions of what that means and what it's going to taste like. I do remember when I was younger, like way younger, I had veggie burgers that were like not good at all, so, but today there are so many options that are really good, So I think if you just take that off and just say, hey, I'm preparing food, try it, it'll probably be good, especially if you're good at cooking and you can season and, you know how to put some sauce with it and make it taste good. Yeah, just don't even tell them it's vegan. Just have some food. It's good. So,
it's funny because sometimes I think I would give some friends some food that I knew was vegan, and if they didn't know it was vegan and they ate it and they found out later, they feel like betrayed because it has a negative connotation to it. But
it's crazy. It is crazy to me, but it's funny, But I'm gonna be honest. I'm very fortunate because I have a lot of family members that are they're cool, and they know, a lot of my family members know I cook. So just switching it. I did have one aunt that was a little leery of trying oyster mushrooms until I just put it in front of her. I was like, listen, it gives me a chickeny type of taste when I fry it. And so I said, here, I'm gonna put it right here. You don't have to have it if you don't want it, but it's there. And so then she was like, I'm gonna try it. So she tried it. Next thing I know, she was trying to take pictures of the packaging, and she was like, where'd you get this from? I need to get, and what seasoning did you use, and how did you cook it? And so I was like, see, you just try. So yeah.
Oh man, no, oyster mushrooms are amazing. I know there's a restaurant around here that makes the fried chicken vegan sandwich, and they use the oyster mushrooms, and you can't even tell, like, it tastes like the chicken.
I'm telling you, if you cook it right,
yes,
it's very good.
Oh my goodness. And I'm sure, so both you and your husband won the challenge, but for you, you got to go on a trip with Maya and other quarter winners. So can you tell us a little bit about that trip and, what that like?
Well, first of all, shout out to Jasmine if she's still here, because I saw her on the in the chat. It was, oh my God, it was amazing. Like I said, truly one of the most incredible experiences of my life. The whole thing I think is also part of what has catapulted me in this direction of taking control and being more intentional with my life. Right. That year, prior to the trip, I had been wanting to do some traveling, but again, you're working, taking care of kids, working, taking care of kids. You're not thinking about the time and how much time is going by and how you're not experiencing life. You're just letting life experience you, So that year, it was something completely different. I had never been out of the country. I've taken cruises before where, you stop off at a port somewhere for like a few hours and then you're back on the boat. But to actually leave the country and go somewhere else, go through customs, I had never done that. And it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. One of the things I shared with Maya, I think last year, I came on one of her lives and we talked about the trip. One of the things that got me was the landscape. When we flew over Costa Rica, I looked down and I saw nothing but greenery. I mean, it was beautiful. It was like nothing but greenery, like pure, you see the rainforest, versus when you're flying over our country, it's very, cookie cutter. Yeah. You see all the subdivisions. You don't see the natural greenery. And it was eye-opening. It's something that you don't know until you're there. And so going through the jungle, we did waterfall. We climbed, I think, like 12 waterfalls. And that was exhilarating. And I had moments where it's really difficult to use words to explain what I experienced and what I felt. But you have a connection with nature that is something that can't really be explained with words. Walking through the waterfalls, climbing the mountains, sitting there and watching literal like insects going by your head. You're kind of like, I found myself freezing up because you're on kind of on a ledge and you have to wait for the next person to climb the next waterfall. But you don't want to move too much because you can fall down into the waterfall. Yeah. So, you're having to sit still. But then I found myself as I'm sitting here and I'm looking at what I would have been freaked out about. I realized these insects are just going about their day. I'm just another being out here just like they are, and I don't know. It just kind of opened my eyes up to things in a different way about nature and our connection to it. And how we're all interconnected, But yeah, the trip was so beautiful. We got to see wild monkeys, and I had one jump on my head. He almost choked me. It was funny. We were feeding them bananas. It was really cool. I definitely want to go back for sure. Definitely going to be going back. But the trip was incredible. It was wonderful spending time with Maya and seeing her outside of her normal element. She's an incredible person. The other ladies and the guys who were there that were looking out for us, everybody was just incredible. I mean, I had such a beautiful experience. It was one that I will never forget. And like I said, when I came back home, it literally lit a fire in me to start living intentionally. That year I actually took my family on multiple trips, which we hadn't been doing. My husband and I went out. We actually saw Maya in concert in, I think, California that year for the Feminine Forward concert. And again, that's something I wasn't doing because I wasn't just living. I'm just working. And so I said, okay, I'm taking time off work. We're going to have a vacation and we're going to go see Maya. We're going to see Brandy. We're going to see, I'm trying to remember who else was on that tour, but we went and I got front row tickets. I said, we're going to just enjoy life. And we did. It was incredible. And then I took Bree to, my daughter. We took her to Disneyland. So we went back out to California again that same year, took her to California, to Disneyland. Took her to Florida that year as well. Just, hey, start living. So I think that was the first year we actually had I did like 4 or 5 family trips in 1 year. And we had not traveled before. Wow. And it was just eye-opening. And so we planned to continue, but then we got hit with 2020. So, we're still doing things though, but that is part of the beginning of me saying, you know what, I need to start living. So that's the traveling stuff, but then also the dreams, like stuff I wanted to do, my coffee business, other stuff we want to do is let's go do it.
Yeah.
So it was that trip that was a catalyst for a lot of that.
I'm really happy to hear that you guys are traveling more. At least that year you went on so many trips, and even every day now you're working on your dreams, because like you said, we can't take life for granted, and it can be easy to do that when we're stuck, in that monotonous pattern, being in a hamster wheel of work and all the responsibilities of life. But you gotta also stop and smell the roses, right? And just take it all in.
Yeah.
And I think too, being in nature helps with that, because you mentioned how you were just looking at the insects going about their day, and everything is like in its own flow in nature. And so kind of when you take that in, you can apply that to your life too. And
you can,
like that's amazing that trip did that, because that challenge, I mean, I remember when I was looking into her challenge, and I was like, wow, there's so much I didn't know about food. It's like fruits, veggies, and the bad stuff. That's pretty much the big category that I looked at. I didn't know about really all the chemicals that were even in the healthy food,
My goodness. And what else is really interesting to me? The longevity of it, you really start to see the changes inside yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can go vegan for 3 months and you might feel, I have more energy. I have this, I have that. When you're with it for a long period of time, and depending on what you're consuming, your literal body is changing. Your brain is changing. Your everything is changing. I found myself no longer as moody or irritable at times, and you don't even realize how chemicals affect your mood and your emotions, and consuming too much sugar or too much starch or all these different things that create discomfort within the body can affect your emotions. And so you think, oh, I'm having a bad day because somebody did something. And so then you react a certain kind of way. What you don't realize is your reaction is being caused by some chemical imbalances within your brain that may be the cause of the things that you may have been consuming on a consistent basis, Right. And so once you start consistently for a long period of time cleaning out, replenishing, and understanding that the cells in your body are constantly being replaced. But what you have to understand is that they are replaced by the food that you consume. So when they say that you are what you eat, you literally are what you eat. The cells that make up the food become you. I looked at kale. If you actually take a piece of kale that's withering and you clip the ends, and my best friend taught me this, if you clip the end and put it in water, it will firm back up within maybe a few hours. As long as it's not just a little bit withered and you want your kale salad to be a little bit crunchier, if you clip the end, put it in water, it will firm back up. No different than if you water your plants that are, looking droopy, you water them, they firm back up. The reason for that is because it's alive. So when they say you're eating living foods, when you're eating raw vegan food, you are literally eating living foods with living. Mind is literally sharper, and because of that, I can find opportunities that for whatever reason I just couldn't see before. And I'm applying that to my life now. And so it's incredible what it can do, especially, like I said, long term, because certain parts of the body take longer to replenish than others. And I don't know, I know your skin, I can't remember how long it takes your skin to replace, but over time, everything that you are starts to get replaced by what you're consuming. So when you start consuming things of high energy, electric energy, full of life, you become full of life and you start to radiate that. So it's real.
It is. Yeah. And, I think too, our relationship with food and our interpretation of what the role of food is in our lives really, makes a difference too, because a lot of people just eat because they're hungry, but you got to think too, what is this food doing for me and to my body? And I think
Exactly.
people actually stop to think about that. And then they're like, okay, maybe I don't need these potato chips, or, because
Right.
what nutritional value is there? And then you
Mm-hmm.
look at the ingredient list and there's like 50 ingredients, and
Stuff you can't even pronounce.
you can't pronounce, you don't know, like, how it
Right.
affects you. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that, that those challenges really made a lot of people stop and think about what they're consuming and how it's affecting them.
And we've taken it even further than just what we consume. But I said that's one of the things I'm so grateful for with my husband is he's like, it's just good to have a partner that's like right there with you, because you can't, you don't always keep your eye on everything. I may be focusing on the food, but he's actually walking around the house going, what's in this bottle of 409, or what's in this comic? Oh, let's get rid of that. Let's find something that's, that can clean, that's natural. And so he found some brands that are actually, I found, clean better than the stuff that I grew up with, that you shake in your bathtub and you're like sneezing. So that's one of the things I'm definitely grateful for with him, is he's right here with me on this journey, and we have changed the things that we have around the house to clean with, the stuff that we put on our bodies, our deodorant, our toothpaste, our all of that stuff is gone natural, like completely, and it makes a difference.
That's true. Yeah. What you were talking about in terms of the lotion, even vitamins. I mean, I've really thought about gelatin and vitamins.
Right.
I mean, there's so many ingredients that people don't even think about within makeup. I mean, the list goes on and on. But there are a lot of natural alternatives to that.
And another thing, speaking of Maya's challenges, last year she did the detox with Queen Afua.
Oh, right.
And that helped take us to another level, because I did that with them as well. And I'm so grateful for that, because now I'm plugged into Queen Afua's products, and she has a lot of natural, herbal teas and just things that you can take on a daily basis to keep you well. And I never thought about taking remedies for your health, but it just takes you to another level as far as detoxing and keeping your body clean and keeping you going. And I now personally take ginger shots every day just for my immune system, which has also helped with my weight loss, because it helps cleanse, the colon and everything. So I learned a lot from both of them. So I'm very grateful,
Yeah, no, that challenge, I saw them go live at one point last year too, and they were dropping so many gems.
Yeah. I think it might be on YouTube. So sometimes I go back and rewatch stuff just to kind of remember, like little gems that are dropped.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of herbal teas and remedies out there that, I think gets a lot of bad press in the media, because it's looked at as not honoring the scientific method or whatever. But a lot of that comes from these natural remedies, right? Like, they're basically condensed versions of what's in nature. So,
exactly.
I mean,
nature is first. Science studies nature. Like, that's just real talk. So,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, and there's now you have all these academic bodies that are doing papers on turmeric and ginger, and these are things that people have known for generations that they're effective, and so they'll go, that does work. It's like, now they're now they're making all these capsules and stuff, and it's like you can just go to the store and get your raw ginger,
exactly,
boil it, and
right. I'll take my ginger without the chemicals, thanks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you also talked about how with your personal experience with postpartum weight loss journey, how you came to focus on the vegan lifestyle, and you tried a lot of other dietary methods, workout methods, but now you've found pretty much your stride in what works, and not just for weight loss, but just your overall well-being. So what advice would you give to new mothers who may be struggling with losing postpartum weight or just in general who want to improve their health?
Well, everyone is probably in a different place or going through different types of challenges. But I think it's taking what is causing your challenge. First of all, what is it that you're trying to do? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you struggling with losing weight? Why are you struggling with losing weight? Is it a diet reason? Is it a lack of exercise? Are you doing the wrong exercises? There's a lot there, so it's hard to give like one type of piece of advice. But if your issue is like mine, where I kept doing the yo-yoing stuff, I can tell you that it really boiled down to my mindset. That's really, at the end of the day, what the true issue was. First, I changed my diet. Changing my diet helped me kind of clear up my mind. So then you're balancing your emotions a little bit more. So if you're kind of an emotional eater, you're upset, so now you're eating stuff, or you're overworked, so now you're ordering stuff. Once you can get your mind in a more balanced state where your emotions are more balanced, then you don't find yourself reaching for things to, try to make you feel better, because you're in a balanced state. And then you can kind of look at what your issues are. So I had to do that first. It really had to boil down with changing my diet and then kind of getting myself more balanced to where I'm not as stressed anymore. So now that I'm not stressed eating. Then the next thing was my workouts. Now, I do give credit to my husband for this because part of my issue with my workouts is I was overdoing it. I think I wanted so badly to lose weight that I would do these, I would challenge myself, but I was overexerting myself, and then I couldn't keep up. I think, for instance, 2019, I was like, okay, I'm going to go 5 miles a day on the treadmill. That was my goal. And I was going to keep adding another mile. My goal was try to get to 10 miles a day by the end of the year. And it was just crazy. I was in it at first, but then after a while, my shin started hurting and I was having other problems. And then I found myself just not working out and I got demotivated. Right. And then the next year, it's like, okay, we're going to do Shanti. We're going to do Insanity, and I might be on a roll, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks into it, I'm tired or something happens or I just can't keep up. And so he started observing me and was watching what I was doing. And I'm not going to lie, I gave him a hard time as we do, because I felt like I was being criticized. So, but no, he legit was like, let me help you. So I got out the way and I let him put together a routine, and I followed his routine, and he let me know. He was like, yeah, you're in here just doing too much. Pull it back. What I want you to do, number one, drink a gallon of water a day. And I'm still working on that. Drink a gallon of water a day. And I want you to do a mile on the treadmill, just 1 mile. And then he had this, workout routine that he has for me that I do floor work with bands and things like that. So I'm not adding weights, but just doing strength training. And we focused, the first part of our focus was on the lower body. So not so much about trying to do the upper body, anything like that, just kind of lower body strength training, and then a mile every single day. And I have no days off. My strength training or whatever was Monday through Friday with the mile, and I would have to kind of jog the mile or run the mile. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, I just walk 1 mile. So that's kind of my rest time, but still active rest. And I've been doing that now I think we started this together about maybe 6 months ago. And we're just now taking it up to another notch because I took what he gave me and started adding to it, adding more reps, bringing my time down on the treadmill, getting stronger, shedding weight, gaining muscle. And so now he's like, all right, you got this one. Now we're getting ready to switch it up. So now we're doing more cardio floor work. So yeah, what I can say about that again is it was my mindset. It was me trying so hard, being so desperate about trying to just get it off that I wasn't just going with the flow and being easy with myself. He kind of opened my eyes to that, and I've calmed down. And so just by calming down is working. Then the other thing, and this is really important, we practice affirmations. I think, and I'm going to be very honest, I think above everything that is the one key aspect that has made a difference. My goal weight is 150. That's my goal weight. You know, I'm at around 170 something now. And that's coming down from 215. And so he's like, what do you want to do? I said, I want to weigh about 150. I think that'll be good for me. I'll be happy with 150. And so he said, well, 3 times a day, I want you to stand in the mirror and tell yourself, I am 150 pounds. And so I created my own affirmations, and I started saying them every day. I say, I am 150 pounds of health, wealth, beauty, and wellness. And I say that 3 times a day. And so it's tapping my health, my finances, my look, and my overall well-being. And I say this every day. And because I'm saying it, I'm speaking it, I'm visualizing myself at 150 pounds, and I'm putting action with it by working out every day. I have no choice but to become that. And so when I look at my progression, I see, oh yeah, I am on my way there. I've not been this weight that I'm currently at in 10 years. And so I would say that outside of the workout, the diet, I mean, all of that stuff works, but it's also, again, it's here. It's the mindset. It's the believing in what you can do and what you want to do, and just putting all of your mental energy towards it and focusing it and making that your reality. And so that was long, but kind of my advice, you know, work on the mind. So
that is excellent. Mind is definitely the place to start, because even as you said, with the consistency, you know, it's better to do a little bit each day that's effective than just go all out for some huge goal. I'm going to do 10 miles every day. Because like you said, you get tired.
Yeah. And then you get this defeated mindset when you're not doing it. Right. And then that rolls into other issues, you know? Yeah.
And I love that mantra that you have for yourself that you say every single day, because when you put those things into the universe, it actually does come true.
They do.
Verbal, written down. I feel as though those daily affirmations are really important, because we also have a lot of negative self-talk sometimes when we're trying to get our goals, and maybe it's not going to work, or maybe, you know, but if you counter that with those affirmations, it makes things so much easier.
Yep. Big time. It's huge. You know, you counter it with that. You also counter it with your diet. You counter it with what you consume, the information you consume, what you watch, because everything that we experience is experienced through our 5 senses. So whatever you're watching, whatever you're eating, whatever you're listening to, all of those things will affect the thoughts that you have.
Right.
And so if you immerse yourself, I remember my bishop at my church used to say, guard your gates. And so what he meant by your gates is your ears, your eyes, the things that you take in, because what you take in is what gets processed up here, you know? And so your food is a big thing too, because those chemicals carry an energy, you know, and that becomes a part of you. And then you're having these negative thoughts and you don't know why. If you're consuming a lot of alcohol, liquor, things of that nature, they call it spirits for a reason, you know, that stuff can affect you. So if you instead start focusing on consuming things of a higher vibration or a higher energy, again, music, thoughts, words, the stuff you're watching on TV, the people that you're around, the conversations that you're having, the books that you're reading, if all of those things are in a more of a positive nature, and that's what you're bringing in, then you'll start having more positive thoughts. You know, if you start kind of blocking out some of that negativity, it will help to block out some of those negative thoughts that can kind of manifest themselves in your mind or plant themselves in your mind. So I'm very cognizant of that. It's a big deal.
Very true. Yeah. And, you know, we have to be honest with ourselves too, because there's a lot of, I would say, noise when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to social media, when it comes to like the books, music, that we really need to filter through and not just subject ourselves to it and just let it
Mm-hmm.
come all in. We have the power actually to control what we consume from all of those avenues that you talked about. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes you got to take a hiatus, or
Mm-hmm.
just be like, I'm cleansing myself from this type of music or this type of, book, because it's catapulting those thoughts, those negative thoughts in you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even by anyone else's standards but yours. You just have to be honest with yourself and analyze what you're taking in and how it makes you feel.
Right. Yeah, that's a big thing. Pay attention to what you feel. Yeah, I heard a term that says emotions is energy in motion. So pay attention to your emotion, because that's the energy that's flowing through you.
Right.
And that's coming from whatever you're taking in. So be aware of how you're feeling emotionally.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, just to close out, because this has just been such an amazing conversation.
Yes.
Here. What advice would you give to those who feel as though they don't have any time in the day to make their dreams come true, or they don't have the resources to make their dreams come true?
I'm going to be very honest. That is a part of the mindset, when you believe you don't have the time. And I was one of the ones who said, I don't have the time. I can't work out because I don't have time, or I'm tired. You have to make the time. You have to just sit with yourself. Sitting with yourself is probably one of the first things you need to do, because it'll allow you to analyze, number one, what is the issue that you're having? What is it that you want to do? Where do you want to see yourself? If you can sit down and write down where you want to see yourself, what is it that you wish for? Not what do I have right now to get there? What is it that you want, first and foremost? That's, I think, the number one thing. What do you want to be? Create, a vision board. How do you want to look? What is it that you want in your life? Get that down first. In fact, I posted something to my Insta story not too long ago. A guy said, if you could give advice to your younger self, what would you say? He said, I would start with the end in mind first and then work my way backwards, because we live life forward and we just take one thing at a time. But if you think out ahead about where you want to see yourself, what legacy you want to leave, how you want to be, and you write that down, then the next thing is to start researching who's already there, who has already accomplished what I want to be. If I want to be a chef, okay, well, who are the professional chefs out there? What are they doing? How did they get there? And start working your way backwards to where you're at. And when you can do that, and it takes time, it's not, I don't have the time. You have to make the time. You do have the time. There's 24 hours in a day. You can just pick something that you're doing. Maybe you sleep, take 2 hours away from your sleep to take this moment, because it's really just mapping out what you want.
Right.
You don't have to take 2 hours from your sleep every time, but if you really are serious about trying to do something different, you got to do something you're not doing. So if you say you don't have time, make the time. Spend less time on television or less time scrolling on social media. Find the time to sit with yourself to decide what it is that you want, write it down, and then begin mapping it out. And then figuring out, like I said, go find people who have already accomplished what it is that you want to accomplish, and then start writing down how they got there. Figure that part out, and then map it to where you currently are. And then start trying to knock on doors to figure out how you can get yourself there. If it's a degree that you need, well, find your way to school to get that degree. See if you can get a loan, see if you can get a scholarship, whatever it takes. If you have to get multiple jobs and save your money and eat ramen noodles, I'm not saying eat ramen noodles, but, do what you have to do. You are your own limitation. When you say, I don't have the time, you won't have the time. If you start saying, I have the time, I'm going to do it, you will do it. It's as simple as that. That's what I have found.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that. It definitely is a mindset. And if we look at the 24 hours in a day that we all have, I'm sure that, as you said, as long as you're motivated enough, you can find some hours to move around. Say, I can spend a little bit less time watching TV or sleeping. Yeah, sometimes you have to sacrifice sleep to get to where you need to be. And
Right.
even
Wake up a little earlier,
early. I mean, there's some, I forget what book it was, but they were talking about how millionaires, they all wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah. That's real.
There's
It's real.
while you're sleeping and you're in La La Land, they are prioritizing, their businesses and everything else that's making them a continuous.
I had to build my entire website at the 4 a.m. hour time because I'm homeschooling now. So I actually started waking up at 4 to work on my business before my daughter wakes up, because she wakes up somewhere between 8 and 9. So that gives me like between 4 and 5 focus time. It's very quiet. I can think, I can design, I can create, come up with ideas. So, again, it's about what you want to do. If you got a hunger enough, you will wake up. You will.
That is true. That is true. Well, that's really excellent advice. And I'm sure that everyone watching tonight and who's going to catch up on this interview later will definitely walk away with that impetus to change their mindset if they haven't already. Because, like you said, that's really where it's at in order to make their goals a reality.
That's the start. Yep. This in the mind. And like I said, a big part of helping enhance the mind is the diet.
For sure. So, yeah. Definitely. Well, Angie, it's been a pleasure speaking.
Yeah, you too.
I'm so excited to talk. I know we're going to still be in touch.
And, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I pinned in the comments where everyone can find you, but is there any projects coming up that you're working on that you want people to know about, or ways that they can connect with you?
Well, you can connect with me on my main page, which is Angie_Supernova. Or if you're interested in the coffee, you can follow me at Nova Stone Coffee. Or if you're interested in vegan recipes or vegan ideas, you can follow my cooking page, which is Cooking with a Supernova. So those are my 3 social media pages that you can follow if you're interested. But yeah, this has been great.
Yes. Yeah.
I was nervous. This is awesome.
I honestly, it's been amazing. I mean, because, we've been messaging for 3 years. And so it's to finally be able to chat and
talk to you.
Yeah.
Can you pronounce your name for me, though? Because
Adala.
Okay. Because I know you as Dr. Beauty Daily. That's how I always refer to you. I was like, well, So this is, wow, it's been such a pleasure. It's a true pleasure.
For sure, yeah. I know definitely we'll be in touch. I always enjoy looking at your recipes. I'm going to check out your cooking page too.
Thank you. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to plug my business. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for everyone who is tuning in this evening. Just at the beginning of the interview, don't worry, you can catch up. It will be posted on my YouTube page as well as IGTV. So make sure you follow Angie on all of her social media platforms. And let me know if you ever want to come back on, because I've had some repeat guests who, catch up with what else is coming up in their businesses. So I'm sure we'll have more to discuss in the coming months.
Yeah. Well, I'm just getting started, so I'm sure maybe in another year or 2, I'll hopefully be further along with some of the things that I want to do. But yeah, I'd love to just keep in touch for sure.
Perfect. Well, I hope you have an amazing evening and rest of the week.
You too.
And
you too.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah. Happy holidays.
Thank you. All right. Have a good night.
All right. Peace.